Oh, welcome back to more Empyrion. How here, and today we're going to work on something a little bit different. Well, it's similar to things that we have done previously, but it is a little bit different in the application. What we're going to do is we're going to set up a timed crop monitoring system. Now, before we get into it, we have to get started. So let's go. Okay, everybody, so what we're going to do is let me show you how to set up basically a remote monitoring crop report. You can use this for other things as well, but the idea of the current the circuit that I've built is specifically for monitoring remote systems that are time-based. So if you have something where you're trying to grow, you want to basically have a system that tells you that things are ready to go, this is a way to do it, or a way to do it, I should say. So what you end up with is a switch that when you throw it, it'll have a countdown timer. We've got this set for a couple of seconds. So what it'll do is once the timer is done, you'll get a status indicator. As you can see here, we do have it set up for both lights and LCDs, so you could use either or. You don't have to use any of these. Anything that gives you a visual indication that it's changed, that something has changed, is good for this use. So what you would do is if you had your crops elsewhere in your base, some people will build bases where your crops are not near your central hub. They may be underground, they could be in a remote location in the base, and you don't want to have to keep running back and forth to check on your crops. So what you would do is you'd set the system up. You'd once you got all your plants, all your crops planted, you flip the switch, you come back, and you'll have an indication once the timer is gone. And then when you flip the switch again, say you had got to notice, you went over, you harvested all your crops, you flip your switch. When the timer counts down again, you'll get the second system to update. Now, this is really nice for remote monitoring, specifically on timed systems, and it's ridiculously simple to set up. So what we're going to do is I've got another base over here that we've set up. We're going to go ahead and we're just going to use the LCDs because, well, they're fairly simple to use. So we're going to just do this. We're going to set our switch. Now, you can set the switch pretty much anywhere within the build, doesn't matter. I recommend putting it somewhere very close to where you're going to be using the timing device to monitor for. So if you're growing crops, I would recommend putting it somewhere very close to your farm, probably on the way in or way out of the farm area. So what you then do is, now that we have all of this, we're going to come over here, and then we're going to go to devices. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a group really quickly because I want to be able to rename the LCDs. So we're going to take this LCD, we're going to add it to the LCD group. See, it's going to be, let's try that again. LCD. Okay, we need to ungroup LCD. Okay, there you go. And then we're going to add this to the last group. We have a lever that we're not going to worry about. Okay, so this LCD, we're going to rename LCD1. Remember to hit enter so that it updates your naming. This is going to be LCD2. Both of these are currently set to on. We're going to turn them off. And you'll see why here in a moment. So what we're going to do here with the lever, we then go over to signal logic. I tend to use SW01 for demos, but you can name this anything that you want as long as you know what you're dealing with, because this is going to basically tie into the circuitry, and you need to know what you're tying it into. So now that we have our switch set up, we're going to set a delay. We're going to tell it to trigger off SW1 or SW01. Now, you would set a delay, and this can be anything from 1 second to 99 seconds. And the reason why this is important is because the crops are grow times of 25 to 35 minutes. So what you would need to do is have enough delays to account for whatever timer you're going to do. So if you're doing 25-minute timer, you would want your delays to be roughly, you want like 25 delays to be 60 seconds, or you could do 90 seconds and reduce the number of delays. Now, keep in mind the way that the script logic or the signal logic currently works within the game. Each delay actually adds more than 1 second of delay. So for every 2 delays at 1 second, you're actually getting about 4 seconds worth of delay, maybe even 5. It just has to do with the way that the game is processing the order of operations. It takes a little bit of time for it to go from step 1 to step 2 to step 3 and eventually get to your output. For the sake of this demonstration, we're just going to set this to 3 seconds, and we're only going to set a single delay, just to show you how the logic works. So we're going to set that. I keep forgetting about that bug in the signal logic. So in order for you to see the signal, you sometimes have to exit and come back into the signal logic screen. It comes back to how it's updating all the information. So we're going to have LCD1 trigger off the delay signal. It's going to follow it. So when you flip the switch on, this delay is going to take 3 seconds. It's going to generate this signal. The light is going to say, okay, what do I do with that signal? I'm following it, so I'm going to turn on as well. LCD2, we get out of there, thank you. We're also going to have follow signal 1, but we're going to tell it to invert. So when you flip the switch to start the system, this one's going to stay off. But the first LCD, after the timer goes, will turn on. And then if you flip the switch to turn it off, after the delay goes again, LCD1 will turn off, LCD2 will do the invert. Since the switch is set to off, the LCD will turn on. And you can do this with lights as well, so if you don't want to use LCDs, you don't have to. Now, in order to show you that it's working, we're going to set some text, right? We're going to say crops ready. Right, so we'll close that. We're going to come down here. We're going to set LCD2 text to say ready again. And then you can have it say whatever you want. It doesn't matter. I'm just putting text in here to show you that it's working. So our system is powered up. Let's turn on our generator. As you can see, nothing's going on here. We flip the switch. It's going to count for a couple of seconds. And like I said, even though it's set for a 3-second delay, it takes a couple of seconds extra. So it took about 5 seconds or so for it. Part of it's because we've got a bunch of other things in the area that have programming in them, so it's running through all of the different programs simultaneously. So give it a couple of seconds, you should be fine, right? So we've now planted our crops, we flip the switch, it's turned on, we harvest our crops. It's like, okay, we're ready to harvest. So we harvest. On the way out of the farm, we flip the switch. We go out, we do our thing, maybe go loot some bases, go kill some players, whatever, just whatever you're doing to have some fun. You come back to your base and it's like, oh, look, my crop's ready again. So then I go back, I harvest my crops. On the way out of the farm, I flip the switch again, go out, do some more things, even if it's just AFK, whatever. You come back a couple of minutes later and look, my crop's ready. So this is probably the simplest circuit that I've been able to come up with that allows you to do this where you don't have to reset anything. All you're doing is using a single switch. Now, there are ways we could build in a timer system so that when the signal goes, this would only stay lit for so long. And then maybe have a light that was over here that was following the original circuit. So this would power off, but the light would stay on to tell you that your crops actually are ready to go. So that way, when you come in, if you see this lit, you know that you're within the sequence. If it's not lit but the light is on, it tells you that you missed the message, but the crops are ready to go. You go flip the switch and it'll rinse and repeat. So hopefully this is helpful. Like I said, I've had a couple of people asking about this type of system. I wanted to make it a little bit easier for folks to get into. The big thing to remember, though, is that your delays, you're going to have a long list of delays using a system like this. It's just unfortunately the way the system is set up currently, because we don't have actual timer blocks. We can't set long timers. We can only set small delays. So you just have to compound the delay. Once you get there, you're pretty much done. All you then have to do is have everything set up and running. Anyway, that's going to take it for today. If you enjoyed this, thought it was helpful, or want to see more, make sure you hit that like button. If you haven't done so already, I also do ask that you subscribe for more Empyrion. If you have any questions, throw them down in the section below. You can also find me over on the official Empyrion website. I am in the forums over there in the script logic for, I should say, the thread for the 6.0 feedback in the triggers and sensors thread specifically. But you can find me over on the forum and send me a PM if you've got some questions, or if there's a specific script that you're trying to figure out. I'll be glad to help you if I can. If you don't mind people knowing what you're working on, you just post it over in that feedback for the triggers and sensors thread, and somebody's probably going to be able to help you. So, on that note, I am out of here. I hope everybody has a fantastic day. Have a terrific week, and we will see you back here for more Empyrion. As always, folks, take care and be safe out there, everybody.